The big story we are tracking: Israel has launched airstrikes against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The airstrikes came after Tel Aviv vowed retaliation for a barrage of cross-border rockets fired from Lebanon, which it blamed on Palestinian groups. Tensions have soared between Israel and Palestinians during the Jewish Passover and the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Israel military is also targeting areas in Lebanon. Violent explosions have been heard in the southern part of the country. The latest flare-up of violence comes after Israeli police clashed with Palestinians inside Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque on Wednesday. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is Islam's third holiest site. Remember, the holy Muslim site is built on top of what Jews call the Temple Mount, Judaism's holiest site. On Thursday, Israel's army said that 34 rockets had been fired from Lebanese territory. It marked the largest escalation along the frontier since Israel and Hezbollah fought a 34-day war in 2006. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, vowed that Israel's enemies would pay the price for any act of aggression.
אין לנו שום עניין לשנות את הסטטוס קוו בהר הבית. אנחנו קוראים להרגעת הרוחות, ואנחנו נפעל בתקיפות נגד קיצונים שנוקטים שם אלימות. באשר לתוקפנות עלינו מהזירות השונות, אנחנו נכה באויבינו, והם ישלמו מחיר על כל מעשה תוקפנות. אויבינו יגלו שוב שברגעי מבחן, אזרחי ישראל עומדים מאוחדים ומלוכדים, ומגבים את הפעולות של צה"ל ושל שאר זרועות הביטחון, כדי להגן על מדינתנו ואזרחינו.
In a statement, the Israeli army said that it had hit 2 tunnels and 2 weapons manufacturing sites belonging to Hamas. Hamas has said that Israel was responsible for aggression and its consequences and called for all Palestinian groups to unite. The Israeli army said that its air defense systems intercepted 25 of the rockets fired and 5 landed in Israeli territory. An army spokesperson blamed Palestinian groups for the attack. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati said that he rejected any escalation from his country after the rocket attack. The UN interim force in Lebanon, which patrols the border area between the 2 countries, urged restraint. Here's what the spokesperson for the United Nations chief said.
Given the extreme seriousness of the situation, we urge restraint and we urge the parties to avoid any further escalation.
On Wednesday, the Israeli riot police stormed the prayer hall of Al-Aqsa Mosque in a pre-dawn raid. Israeli police said that the raid was aimed to dislodge law-breaking youths and masked agitators who had barricaded themselves inside the mosque. The US said that it recognized Israel's legitimate right to defend itself against all forms of aggression.
We condemn the launch of rockets from Lebanon and Gaza at Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, and we recognize Israel's legitimate right to defend itself against all forms of aggression.
France condemned what it called indiscriminate rocket fire targeting Israeli territory from Gaza and southern Lebanon. Lebanon's Iran-backed armed movement Hezbollah had warned earlier that it would support all measures the Palestinian groups may take against Israel after the clashes. The Lebanese group has close ties with Hamas, which rules Gaza. It also has close ties with the Islamic Jihad group, which is also based in the coastal enclave. The last rocket fired from Lebanon into Israel was in April 2022. To talk to us about this, we are now being joined by Raymond E. Vickery, Senior Associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and former Assistant Secretary of Commerce. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thanks very much for having me.
Mr. Vickery, tensions are soaring, violence is escalating. Now we are getting reports that not just Gaza, Israeli military is striking southern Lebanon as well. These are counter-strikes after rockets were fired from Lebanese soil. Where do you think all this is headed?
Well, it's obviously an escalating spiral of violence. This is what happens when you don't recognize that you have to wage peace as vigorously as one would wage war. This started months ago. I'm afraid that it's tied not only to Palestinian resistance and the desperation of their situation, but it's also tied to rising authoritarianism within Israel. The UN and the U.S. have rightly asked for a de-escalation and not to take further actions, but that's not going to solve this situation unless there is a willingness to recognize that the peace has to be waged and that you just can't meet violence with violence without it erupting into general war.
Sir, talk to us about the Lebanon angle in this conflict that's now emerging. This is the largest escalation along the frontier since Israel and Hezbollah fought a war in 2006. Israel Army spokesperson has said that its Palestinian fire could be Hamas or Islamic Jihad, but not Hezbollah. Do you agree with that assessment? And if so, why do you think Lebanese soil was used for these attacks?
Well, as you know, to speak of Lebanon is a misnomer. In fact, Lebanon is divided so radically that things which are happening in southern part of Lebanon are not necessarily under the control of Lebanese government, much less either Hezbollah or the other factions which are there. I have no doubt that those who are interested from Hamas want to involve Lebanon in this, and they are trying to get as much coordination and solidarity among non-Israeli forces in the area as possible. I do not think, though, that this approach will be successful. It seems to me that the factions in Lebanon have two disparate aims in order to draw Lebanon as such into the conflict. But it does point